Good morning. Welcome into 104.5 The Zone. Hope everybody's off to a great start today. Lovely to have you here for the next 3 hours. We are grateful that you chose to spend your morning with us after, I'm sure, spending your morning with Ramon, Kayla, and Will. 615-737-1045 is the number if you want to jump in at any point. We would be happy to have you. Happy draft day to those of you who celebrate in the world of professional hockey. The NHL Draft, the last couple of days, has taken over downtown Nashville, and I haven't had the opportunity to see the did you watch any of the NHL awards? Good morning, by the way.
Good morning. I did. Yes, Nashville did a great job, as always.
And so, yes, I heard that the presenters really enjoyed themselves. They went hyper-local with it. Looked like a really, really cool scene. And Nashville, as you mentioned, does tend to do these things quite well. And, of course, the Nashville Predators, it is a pivotal time for them. We've talked about this, but we want to have a different kind of conversation today and to kind of dive into what exactly this team needs most at this stage and kind of take a look at some of the storylines that are coming out of this NHL Draft here in Nashville. I think the best thing about this whole experience to me, though, and I think it's the fact that I haven't noticed it at all. Like, it has blocked off Lower Broadway. My Uber home from the airport on Sunday told me that Lower Broadway had been blocked off basically since Saturday night in preparation for this thing. They've been having free concerts downtown the last couple of days, and it has felt like not an even slight inconvenience to anything going on, around the downtown footprint in terms of logistics. Like, it seems to be something that people are flocking to every night for these shows. And the scenes from last night, I saw Sean Henry, the Preds president, tweet out a view of the crowd from in front of the stage and from behind the crowd. And it kind of looked like it was on Lower Broadway. I couldn't exactly tell where they had the stage set up, but it looked like an awesome setup. And, of course, we knew that, we as a city were going to do these things really well. I love the fact that I haven't even noticed it, though. In terms of the day-to-day. That's probably been the best part of the NHL Draft down here for me.
Yeah, I have not been around downtown, but a lot of live music, it seemed, yesterday.
Have you been curious to go at all?
Yes. I should probably go check it out. I'll probably swing through there at some point later on tonight or tomorrow. Everything.
The draft starts tonight.
Tonight and then throughout the course of tomorrow, starting in the morning. Starting right around when we get on the air.
Yeah, so we'll be able to keep tabs of that. Alex Doherty is going to join us tomorrow, mid-draft, it sounds like, to kind of get us caught up on what transactions they might make today and, of course, as they make transactions into tomorrow morning in the afternoon. But what is the biggest need for the Nashville Predators at this point, given the kind of moves that they've made? We talked about the Johansson trade from over the weekend. And everything that they had done in the last couple of months to kind of certainly shed salary cap anywhere that they possibly can and try and prepare themselves with draft capital for a draft that they have a lot of ammunition in. It does feel like they've been signaling based on Barry Trotz's and David Poyle's co-press conference earlier in the week. I believe Monday is when they spoke to the media. It does sound like they are preparing themselves for a pretty aggressive move, or at least setting themselves up to potentially make a pretty aggressive move. Right now, they are picking, are they 15?
13.
13.
Oh, no, 15. You're correct. I'm sorry. They have 13 picks.
13 picks.
They're 15 and 24.
15 and 24 tonight.
Yeah.
But with 13 selections...
Most they've ever had, most in this year's draft by any team.
One would think that they would have enough to get into the top 10, potentially the top 5, depending on how much of this capital they're willing to sacrifice. Now, I'd be lying to you if I said that I could break down the strengths and weaknesses of this particular NHL draft class. I don't follow hockey that closely. Many of you do, and, I think to talk about it on a broader scale in terms of what the team needs versus what they might be able to acquire tonight, I think is the way that we're going to go about this. So I can't speak specifically to the prospects. Lucas, I know that you were telling me this morning that there is some controversy around the number 1 overall pick with do we consider them the hated Chicago Blackhawks still?
Yeah, I think so.
Do we still hate the Chicago Blackhawks?
Yeah, I think generally they are one of the more hated franchises in the National Hockey League.
Oh, no, that I'm not disputing, but they've just been so lousy.
Are you talking about from a Preds perspective?
Yeah, Preds fans.
Oh, I think Preds fans absolutely revel in seeing the Blackhawks down the way they have been since the Preds swept them in the first round of that 2017 postseason run.
So the hated Chicago Blackhawks have the number 1 overall pick. And apparently there is some controversy as how that came to be, yes?
Yeah, fan controversy, I would say.
Which is my favorite kind of controversy.
Yeah, I mean, essentially, there's a lottery, right, to decide the number 1 pick in the NHL, just like there is in the NBA. And the Chicago Blackhawks were in there. They were a terrible team last year at the bottom of the league with the likes of San Jose, with Arizona, with Anaheim. I mean, Arizona, who has been just, it feels like perpetually irrelevant, an absolute joke of a franchise. Essentially, their chances to get the number 1 pick in hockey are weighted. It's not like the NBA where it's a pure lottery, right? You have a percentage chance of getting the number 1 pick, and the Blackhawks were a little bit further down on that pecking order. So the Sharks, Don Davenport texting us, she still hates the Blackhawks. The Sharks, the Ducks, the Coyotes all had a better shot at that number 1 pick than Chicago did percentage-wise. And then what happens? The Chicago Blackhawks, right, one of the most prominent franchises in NHL history, get that number 1 pick, which is presumably going to be Connor Bedard, a 17-year-old center who is talked about as a generational talent. Avs star Nathan MacKinnon said, I pulled the quote this morning because he said, his release talking about Bedard is one of the best in the world right now. Talking about the 17-year-old.
Best in the world right now at 17.
One of the best in the world right now. Talking about his shot, his release. That was Nathan MacKinnon, one of the best shooters of the puck in the National Hockey League. So Bedard, incredible player, crazy vision, crafty, just a wicked shot, 17 years old, probably going to play right away. And
future Chicago Blackhawk.
Future Chicago Blackhawk, yes. And so that's where the fan controversy came from, of collusion. The Blackhawks get the number 1 pick. The NHL doesn't want to see Connor Bedard in Arizona. So
I also don't want to see.
You do not want to see him play for the lowly Coyotes in a college hockey arena.
On the rare, yeah. Well, are they still playing in a college hockey arena? They're probably not going to be in Arizona for much longer, right? Isn't that whole situation?
I don't know what their deal is.
They've got their social media people lashing out on the internet at other people. It's it is a bit of a spiral. I don't know if it's funny because it seems to be a bit sad, but you've got Patrick Mahomes getting ripped on the internet by the Arizona Coyotes social media staff because he's saying, bring the Coyotes to Kansas City. Unbelievable.
But the draft is fun in hockey because, yes, in the NBA there is a lottery, right? And everybody was in the Victor Wembanyama sweepstakes this time around. Remember the celebration in New Orleans when they got the number 1 pick knowing it would be Zion?
Yes. I remember that less for the celebration in New Orleans than I do from the just outright dismay from the Knicks that Knicks fans, that not only would they not be getting Ja, they would not be getting Zion. They would not be getting Zion, rather. They would also not be getting Ja because they got the 3rd overall pick, which was R.J. Barrett.
You might be right.
I think that's right.
You might be right. R.J. Barrett out of Duke, right? So there is a sense of urgency in the NBA to get that number 1, number 2 pick because you're talking about, it's the NBA. It's a very individualized sport. One guy can make that much of a difference. But I also think there's as much, if not more, of a sense of urgency in the National Hockey League when it comes to the NHL draft because you're talking about maybe 4 guys that are actually going to contribute right away, with the rest going to the AHL, going to affiliates around the country, and being developed and can become great players, obviously, down the road. But as far as the short term, for teams that are really, really bad right now, there is a massive sense of urgency to get that number 1 pick and that number 2 pick. There's a lot of really good prospects. It's a great draft. But that is fascinating from an NHL draft perspective because you're only talking about a handful of guys that can contribute right away, which is why I think the NHL draft is the most difficult to trade into the top 5.
Really?
Yes, like Barry Trotz is talking about. That just doesn't really happen. And Trotz is talking about being aggressive. The Preds have the ammo to move around. They're obviously making calls, and Barry Trotz has talked about that. He's been open about that. But
does that hurt them at all?
What?
That he's being that open about, trying to get. I mean, he does seem to be very transparent about this. And Poyle was always, I think, transparent about, what their intentions were, whether it be draft, free agency, re-signing players, not considering players, for whatever the case may be. But it does seem like he's been, very open about that interest in going up. I don't know that helps them or hurts them. I'm just curious about it.
No, because it's not like they're talking about going up for a specific prospect. Nothing's leaking like it did with the Titans and C.J. Stroud. The odds are the Preds are going to
can't let that one go, can you?
The odds are the Preds. Well, it's just the perfect example, right?
It is a good example
of how that can hurt a team
and of how that turned. Well, yes, you are correct, because it did turn into a bit of a public situation where everybody knew that they wanted C.J. Stroud, and that didn't end up helping them at all.
They sent Diana Rossini to Nashville, not because they figured the Titans would take Peter Skoronski with the 11th pick.
I still feel bad that she got sent here on a Thursday night for the NFL draft. No disrespect to Peter Skoronski, but, for a guard.
But I think odds are Preds stick and pick at 15. They have a ton of ammo. They can still move up and down in the draft. But, it's going to be interesting. The Chicago Blackhawks will get a generational talent, and a few other fan bases are pretty unhappy with it.
Well, it does appear that people – all right, be honest with me. How bad do I sound today? Because people in the chat are not letting up on me.
Yeah, you don't sound great. What's wrong with you?
Do I sound worse?
What's wrong with you?
What's wrong with me?
Yes. What happened to you?
I mean, nothing. I've just been – I did a weekend in Vegas, and then yesterday, Luan had Beer Olympics at noon. And I went right over there. And I guess, that's not necessarily conducive to the health of my vocal cords.
What do you think? You're 21 years old still? What is this? What is this thing you're doing now? Of what are you like? What are you trying to be right now?
What do you mean?
Like party boy going to Vegas and then Beer Olympics in the same week?
Buddy, you, of all people, should understand how precious weekends are in our industry now. Now that you had a season worth of travel, and I know that you have had a little bit of football season scaries, much like I have, we have only a limited time to be able to do these things, okay? So in this limited window, yes, I am absolutely going to take every advantage that I can to, go on a buddy's bachelor party, or if a friend of mine happens to be having Beer Olympics at noon on a Tuesday and my work schedule is favorable to me making an appearance there, then yeah, I'm happy to go.
I think you're just having a quarter-life crisis.
Do you think so?
Yeah, I think that's what's happening here.
It's entirely possible. 30 is we're less than a month away. I'm not going to handle that well. I'm not going to handle that well.
Or maybe you're closer to a midlife crisis. I don't know.
I think I'm handling. I think this
at
is
this rate. At this rate, this might be a midlife crisis, not a quarter life.
I will say I was not. I was definitely. Well, I won't say. I was definitely not the youngest person there yesterday, but everybody else was a lot older than me. That was an interesting situation. So bear with me. We will see if we can. People are suggesting different kind of things to alleviate how badly I sound. I think you're just going to have to ride this out at this point. I think you guys are just stuck with this for the next. I would say, how long do you think this is going to last? Like, do you think I'm going to sound like this for the rest of the week? Because I have nothing else to do at this point of anything like that. I don't have another trip until July 13th, and I'm off work on that, July 14th, rather, because the 13th is the bowling event. So the bowling event, but I'm not going to be what I have been in the last couple of weeks at the bowling event. The bowling event is for charity. The bowling event will be very, very professionally done and well orchestrated and well executed, and I will not be making a scene there. But I feel we might be in for this until Friday. 615-737-1045 is the number. Let's get into the future of the Preds and talk about some really tragic news in the NFL that came out yesterday afternoon. I'm Buck Rising. It's 1045 The Zone. Welcome back to the show. 615-737-1045 is how you join the discussion. People are active. Praise, as is the custom, pouring in on the F&M Bank chat. Shane Miles says on YouTube, here's your chance, Lucas. It's time to finally debut the Lucas Panzica Show featuring Bert. Would you be better than I was with you? Would you give Bert his name on the show? This is a point of contention for you and me.
If we could find something. Like, the unfortunate thing about that is it would work better with you and Bert, like Buck and Bert. Just there's more of a ring to it.
Well, but are you as self-involved as I am with the name of the show? Because it's the Buck Rising Show. It's not the Buck Rising Show with Lucas Panzica, although we probably should do that at some point. It's not the Buck Rising Show with Bert and Lucas. It's just the Buck Rising Show. So would you give him at least featuring?
The Lucas Panzica Show does not have...
You don't like it?
Yeah, I don't know. That does not have a ring to it whatsoever.
What would you call it?
I have no idea.
Well, people are saying that this is your opportunity to finally take me out. I'm showing up to work because I'm late from Vegas trips. I'm clearly struggling in ways that are affecting my performance. Listen to I sound like a lawnmower today, like a swamp monster. I think this is the best. If I was to ever do impressions, I think I could actually do a good Ed Orgeron today.
Yeah. Maybe lay low for a while.
Go Tigers. Maybe just lay low for a minute. Yes. The LP Show, says Puka.
LP Show?
LP Show?
Yeah, maybe we could do something with that.
Does anybody in your life call you LP?
I have been called LP from time to time.
I don't think I like that. What I do like is the Nashville Predators having 13 picks in this coming NHL Draft. Would we say that defensemen, biggest need at this point? As you look at the roster, as you look at the pieces and parts that they've moved around, the latest, the trading away in terms of a salary dump of Ryan Johansson to the Colorado Avalanche. The Athletic seems to think so in their breakdown of each NHL franchise's needs heading into the first couple of rounds of the draft tonight here in Nashville. Defenseman is the position that's being cited as their greatest need. This is the quote. It's been a long time for the organization formerly known as the Defense Factory since they've used a top 2-round pick on a blue liner. They've added a lot of skill into their pipeline in recent years, and, oh my God, I'm scared of that name. Yaroslav Askarov?
There you go.
Did I get it?
Yeah, close enough.
Close enough? What is it actually?
Yeah,
I would rather you say it correctly and rather than me get it close
Yaroslav
enough.
Askarov. There you go.
Okay. I just had to, it's like a speed bump. I had to slow down before I hit it. In net, but with a lot of picks this summer, it would be ideal if they can get some legit defense for their rebuild. So that has been the Preds, certainly under Barry Trotz. That's the thing that they were known for, right? Now, had they had better offensive talent, maybe they would have played, one would assume they would have played more to their strengths. But that's what the Preds were under Barry Trotz. And now it seems that at least he's speaking about a philosophy that is far more focused on offense, far more focused on power play. Certainly that's been something that has bothered them, it feels like, since Peter Laviolette. Like the last couple of months of Peter Laviolette, the power play has been a talking point for us around the Nashville Predators. But would we agree that defenseman is the greatest need heading into at least the first couple of rounds tonight?
Defenseman and forward. Because, like you talk about, Barry Trotz has been vocal about wanting to change that direction of style of play. I don't think he wants the Preds to be known as the defensive dump and chase team that they kind of ended up being, especially at the end of the Trotz tenure. So that means goals. That means exciting offensive players. And so I would not be shocked whatsoever if the Preds took a forward with that 15th pick. The good thing is they've got a ton of picks to address all sorts of needs. And I think you're looking at a goal scorer with that 15th pick.
Well, based on what he's been saying, you almost feel like that's the direction that they have to go, right? Because he came on the radio show, I mean, it might have been almost a month ago at this point. No, not quite a month. In the last couple of weeks, we had Barry Trotz on the show. You can go check out that interview. He's always a great an interview because you say 3 words and he'll talk for the rest of the interview. He was very, very informative and was willing to share a lot there with us, as he does in any media setting. It's always been one of the best parts of people who have covered Barry Trotz. Either way, he talked about finding players who were going to bring the energy back into that arena. Finding people who are capable of scoring goals with consistency, with regularity, high-level skill players at this point. Because Bridgestone, in the last couple of seasons, has certainly felt stale. They have struggled offensively, and certainly consistency in ways that are clear and obvious to everybody. And it's palpable in the arena. And it brings up a conversation. Will Bowling and I were just talking in the shift change that we were making when Ramon, Kayla, and Will were wrapping up, and I was walking in this morning.
Look at you, the hockey reference.
Yeah, we're trying. If I don't know anything about the prospects, I have to at least pander to somebody somehow. But we were talking this morning with Will, or he and I were talking. They're doing this really cool segment, weekly segment, with Rhett Bryan, the executive producer of Titans Radio. And they're doing the best memories that Rhett Bryan has of Titans Radio. They're very easy to find. He's got them all cataloged across. I mean, this is going to be 25 years of Titans football coming up. This is their 25th anniversary, I believe. So they've been doing that this summer. It's been a really cool exercise that they've started in the last couple of weeks. And what Will said to me, I thought was interesting. He said the energy from the crowd in those highlights from the early years, from when the Titans first got here, the atmosphere, the energy, as somebody like Will, grew up locally, grew up going to Titans games, he said it felt far more present, electric, far more collegiate almost than it does now. Now, there's a variety of different reasons why that's happened at Nissan or LP Field or Adelphia, whatever it's been in your lifetime. Bridgestone is going through a little bit of that lull. I don't know how easy things like that are to correct because the Titans haven't gotten that back. Would we agree that's a fair assessment? There is an energy from the start of the franchise, and you understand that the start is much different than present day, but there is an energy that has gone missing from Nissan Stadium that they have struggled to recapture.
Yeah, but to an extent, that's also an energy that is almost impossible to recreate. When you talk about all those things happening at once,
yes.
a brand new NFL franchise in Nashville, the Houston Oilers, an iconic pro football franchise, suddenly coming to Nashville and becoming a new thing, the Tennessee Titans. B, contention, obviously, right off the bat. They're in the Super Bowl. And C, Nashville was not nearly as commercialized in the late 90s as it is now. So it was much more organic as far as the localized crowd rooting for their team in their home, and not as many fans visiting because it's Nashville and every Pittsburgh Steelers fan is going to take every opportunity to come to Nashville. That was not the case in 1999. So those things cannot be replicated with that same scenario because those things will never happen again all at once.
Agreed. And their most recent run of success, just running this through the Titans prism, most recent run of success for both of these franchises a couple of years ago, Preds 17, President's Trophy year, obviously hugely successful regular season for them. Playoffs were a bit more disappointing. The Stanley Cup run we'll consider their greatest source of recent success. Losing 6 games, energy was difficult to energy is always going to be difficult to recreate because those runs don't happen as often as you might think they would because you have the same core for the next couple of years, and it seems almost impossible in ways that you can't really grasp because what's different? The coach is the same, the player's the same. Why can't they recreate that? Titans, that run in 19, none of it was here. It was all on the road. I mean, some of the home games that they had were electric. The Chargers game, Jeff Simmons' first appearance as a Titan. You had Ryan Tannehill's first start. It was a very, very close game. I believe it was week 7 of that 2019 season. And so you had some really, really high energy games at Nissan in the regular season as they dug themselves out of that 2-4 start. But then all the postseason games were on the road. New England, Baltimore, Kansas City. And so it felt like Titans fans, while they did come back with a renewed energy, or would have, had the next season not been, the pandemic, it felt like they hit the thing that should have helped regenerate that or start to build that back up immediately got nixed by COVID, right? Because then all of a sudden we're in empty stadiums in Denver, and maybe every once in a while they'll let 5 people in as a season ticket holder lottery type of thing to be one of the 5 people allowed in Nissan Stadium to watch a football game. So is there a player in the top 15? And Lucas, I don't know if you can answer this question for me. Perhaps we'll talk with Alex Doherty about this tomorrow. Is there a prospect in the top 15, a goal scorer, that we think has the potential to be that kind of player? 15 and 24 of the selections for the Preds tonight. Is there anybody in that top 30? I mean, certainly there are people in that top 30, but within the range that the Preds currently sit, without, having seen them try to trade up yet, though they have actively been making calls, according to Barry Trotz, is there anybody that pops to mind? Is there a name that people should be keeping an eye on?
Yeah, I think one that has a couple that have actually distinct connections to the Preds. Ryan Leonard is the younger brother of John Leonard, who is a Preds prospect. Played a little bit this past season. Ryan played at Boston College, physical forward. He's a guy that is kind of projected to go before 15, but could certainly slip to 15 the way that a guy like Joachim Kemmel slipped to the Preds in the 20s last year. Kemmel was regarded as a top 10 prospect. So we've seen that in recent history with the Preds. Matthew Wood, a speedy forward you could nab at 15. Andrew Cristall is a name that I cannot take full credit for. I was talking to Alex Doherty about this from A to Z Sports this morning.
He's not anymore.
And, I'm sorry. That's correct. Yes, that is correct. Alex Doherty running Penalty Box Radio.
Yep.
Still covering the Preds. He'll be with us tomorrow to recap the draft. But he brought up the name Andrew Cristall, who happens to be repped by by the same agent as a couple of current Preds players, and happens to play for the Kelowna Rockets, which is in the British Columbia area, which is where Barry Trotz resides when he's not in Nashville. Couple of connections drawn there. Another forward in Andrew Cristall that Doherty told me I would sound smart if I brought up, but I'm not going to take the credit for it.
Well done.
Barry Trotz said this week when talking about the possibility of trading up that you have to have the right dance partner, if you will. Obviously, everybody's been trying to get into that top four. I think it's reasonable. All four of those teams just stay put. There's a pretty good comfort level for them. So as I said, I've been trying to make them uncomfortable, but at this point, there hasn't been any of those trades out there. Still got a few days here that things can change, but we have been trying. He said we've got lots of capital, and we have to be smart about it as well to use it effectively. You don't want to do one thing and then try to fix a bunch of holes if you go too far. So Trotz has been very consistent on this, that the Preds want to win now. They want to keep their core of game changers, as Trotz called them, the likes of Roman Josi and Philip Forsberg and UC Saros, and they want to build around that and just move forward in this new Andrew Brunette era. But my biggest question is, what could change that? What if an offer that Barry Trotz simply could not refuse came down for UC Saros?
Ooh.
How much would that change the trajectory suddenly of what the Preds want to do in the short term?
I don't think
and how they want to build this thing.
Do you think they can do that?
I don't think they trade UC Saros. I think it would take an insane offer.
Now, wait, why? So what has prompted that hypothetical to you?
Well, because Saros' name has been brought up. You know, the Preds were sellers at the trade deadline, and I know it was David Poyle a few months ago, but Saros' name was continuously brought up then, and it's just a guy that is still in his young prime, if that makes any sense, as a goaltender, like still in the early portion of his prime.
Sure.
That the salary is not an insane undertaking. And if the offer was just too good, truly, I wonder if Barry Trotz just wouldn't be able to say no. All these things would have to take place. Like a team would have to pony up the offer. The Preds would have to accept it. But to me, that's the only thing that could change the trajectory. Like everybody's on the same page. I think the Preds are in win as soon as possible mode. Build around your best players and win as soon as you can under Andrew Brunette, play an exciting brand of hockey. But if anything could change that, I think it would be just an insane offer for UC Saros and then go from there. And how much would that change the trajectory of their long-term plan?
So we're keeping an eye on who they might bring in tonight and tomorrow, who will help them accomplish their goal of at least getting the vibes back at Bridgestone Arena, having an exciting young core to continue to build around their three critical foundational pieces, right? Roman Josi, Philip Forsberg, UC Saros. Lucas's hypothetical is interesting because no player is off limits, no matter what the sport is. There's always a price that can be found. No matter how good the player is, no matter how untouchable, untradeable you believe them to be, everybody has a price. So we'll see what happens at this point. But I think there's a couple of different things to look at as to how they can bring the energy back. V-Love, by the way, has tweeted us. Preds can start by bringing draft beers back to the standing room section and catering to the blue-collar sect of the city again. This is a legitimate concern about new Titan Stadium, right? There was a sentiment among fans, and listen, it is well within the Predators' rights. It is well within the Titans' rights. Nashville SC, depending on how much success they have, if you succeed, if you have postseason success, if your team becomes more of a draw, I'm not mad at you for raising prices. Cost of doing business.
But I will say, I think that is a big factor in why Nashville SC has been able to create such good environments at Geodis Park.
It's affordable.
It is a very affordable ticket.
Preds used to be. When I was broke out of college and moved down here, you could go to a Preds game for like $15. I mean, you sit the 300s, whatever. But like you go a weeknight Preds game, and like some of us would still have our student ID, so you would further try and get the discount, even though you're 22, 23, whatever. But it does seem like that affordability element has gone away further. Now, can they, rectify all the stagnation at Nissan, or excuse me, at Bridgestone Arena, Nissan Stadium, just by making ticket prices cheaper? I don't know. Certainly would help. But they have to be a better hockey team. They have to be a better football team. Both teams, turns out, there's some parallels, need to figure out how to score points.
Jeremy in the F&M Bank chat says, Preds don't deal Saros unless they feel like Askarov is ready, which I would certainly agree with.
Yeah, I would think that would make the most sense. 615-737-1045 is the number. We'll get your phone calls. We'll do some SEC observations. And as I mentioned, get to a terribly sad story in the world of the NFL that also has to do with the SEC. I'm Buck Rising. It's 1045 The Zone. you're trying to get down with some SEC observations, we'll do that here in just a second. 615-737-1045. Phone lines are open. Paxton in Nashville's up next. Hey, Paxton.
Hey, Buck, what's going on? Thanks for taking the call, brother.
Sure.
So, the topic that you're all talking about, I'm a lifelong Titans fan, diehard Titans fan, born one, will die one. So I've seen what you're referring to, that electricity when it first, came here to Nashville. I look at a few things that I think is the issue with the Titans specifically, and I'll speak a little bit to what's going on with the Preds. But, the city when it got here, when the team got here, wasn't what it is today, obviously. It wasn't that it city. You didn't see transplants moving here. So you didn't see other people who have no interest or stake in the Titans, right, in the organization. On top of that being a new team, you mix those two things together, now this is what you have. You have people who are still fans of that same era, but they're not really getting catered to in terms of, the way the city's growing and the way the city is now. So I think that we can get that back. And the way to do that is the thing you've been saying all day, just win ball games. That's it. You win ball games, you get people in the seats, right? And you see the reverse of that with Cincinnati. So in 2020, I was at that game when they played the Titans, and they were, 5 Bengals fans in that stadium. But now all of a sudden they've become, one of the most annoying obnoxious fan bases ever. But they've also grown their fan base, and they're excited about their team again because they're winning football games. So I think we'll do that, Buck. That's going to be it. As far as the Preds go, I think they were just been too good for too long. I think a Stanley Cup is the only thing that's going to alleviate the problems there, and to at least get back to the Stanley Cup Finals. Once that happens, I think they'll be okay. So I'll hang up and listen, Buck. I appreciate you, Lucas, not giving me the Oscar music, brother.
I literally just said in his ear, in the talkback, what, no music? Paxton gets a pass? That's fine.
Paxton is a favorite.
We like Paxton. So wait, are these your favorites or my favorites? Your favorites.
Both, but ultimately it comes down to me. I'm the one with the button.
Okay, that makes sense. Yeah, just letting it go back there.
Like you say nice things about me, you're going to get more time.
Well, he's stealing your airtime, which is typically the thing, given how power hungry and thirsty you both are back there. You've become just, I don't know what that room spawns, but apparently it's only bad intent and greediness. He's taking your airtime. So that's why I was surprised.
I'm not concerned about airtime today because the SEC observations are a much more somber note today than they typically are.
Yeah, they are. And we want to make sure that we treat that with the appropriate respect. Yesterday, so I saw this report about the former NFL quarterback, former Arkansas quarterback, former Michigan quarterback before that, Ryan Mallett, played in the league for 7 years. Apparently he died yesterday. Well, it is being reported as an apparent drowning, not confirmed drowning, but an apparent drowning at a Florida beach, 35 years old. I mean, it is unfortunate that these things happen. The pitcher for the Miami Marlins who had that awful boating incident a couple of years ago, that was so shocking. Like, it is an unfortunate. It's always unfortunate when these situations arise, but like Ryan Mallett, I was thinking about this the other day. I have coaches still in the NFL, players still in the NFL talk about Ryan Mallett and the arm talent, the power that dude had as a professional quarterback, as a college quarterback. Lucas, you were saying he's one of the first or most memorable Arkansas quarterbacks that you can recall.
Yeah, for me, I think for a lot of people in my generation, like my college football fanhood really started I think the first year that I really remember, like fully remember grasping and being all in on it and living and dying with every week was maybe 2006, but probably 2007, if I'm being honest. And Ryan Mallett was not at Arkansas in 2007. He arrived there in 2008, was ineligible because he was a transfer from Michigan, from Arkansas, an Arkansas native that went to Michigan and then transferred back down to his home state. But that 2009 and 10 seasons from Mallett at Arkansas were just electric. Like, this was an Arkansas program that was down, that could not figure out how to compete in the SEC West. And then along comes Bobby Petrino, and they have that basically sequence of Ryan Mallett followed by Tyler Wilson, where Arkansas suddenly becomes a top 5 football team, and the SEC West was so good that Arkansas couldn't get to the SEC championship but once in that span. But still, man, talk about a gunslinger when he was at Arkansas, man. And I almost feel bad when these things happen and you just look back to your football memories of these guys. But those are the memories we have, right?
Well, it is difficult, right? Because
he was a high school football coach. Like, you're talking about an entire high school football team of kids age 14 to 17, whatever, that looked up to him, that considered him his coach, that are just, that you can't imagine what they're going through right now. And his family, like, there's so much more to Ryan Mallett than just the football player he was at Arkansas. But that's how I remember him, right? He was very influential in my college football fanhood in that era, because those Bobby Petrino offenses at Arkansas in 08-09 were so fun to watch.
But I think that's okay. You know, I mean, you don't know Ryan Mallett. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
The people who know Ryan Mallett can remember him, can eulogize him, can celebrate his life at incredibly too early passing at 35. They can celebrate his life their way as people who knew him closely and personally. And I think it's still nice for people who don't know him personally, the way that so many of us don't know the professional athletes that we enjoy watching or even cover to an extent, to remember that through your own prism. I think that's completely fine. Even though it does boil them down to what was their job,
right?
What it was that they could do, not who they were. But I still think that's okay, because that's how you remember him.
I remember him leading the resurgence of Arkansas football. That program had hit a rut under Houston Nutt, playing this archaic offense and just trying to run it back year after year. And then Bobby Petrino was new. It was fun. It was flashy. And Ryan Mallett played as much of a role in that as anybody, helping Arkansas to 10 wins in 2010, and then it was able to be sustained in 2011, and then moving forward when they won 11 games in 2011. Tyler Wilson's their starting quarterback. And so those Arkansas teams were just so fun, and they were a huge part in making the SEC West the powerhouse that it was in that span, because that was the height of the SEC West in my mind. Like, you're talking about Alabama being Alabama, winning the championship in 11 and 12. Auburn was the national champion in 2010. Meanwhile, Arkansas is a 10-win team in 2010. LSU is right there as a factor, coming off a national championship 2 years before that. So the SEC West was just so insanely good top to bottom, and Ryan Mallett in Arkansas played a massive role in that. And to me, this is also for people are going to Florida. Reports are this happened in Destin.
Yeah,
there's a lot of warnings happening right now.
Yeah,
in the Gulf of Mexico about rip currents, and it's dangerous to be down there and swimming right now. So just be aware, people that are on vacation, maybe listening to us on vacation, about to go on vacation, just be careful.
Yeah, I mean, we make jokes about me not being able to swim all the time, but, like, seriously, especially with these riptide currents that you talk about, when so many of us are getting ready to go on beach vacations and things of that nature. T.N. Berg says, Mallett was in Destin. I was in Panama City last week. It was double red flags all week. There were, like, I don't want to read the number specifically because it's not, I don't have a confirmed. He says a certain number of drownings, but I can't speak to that specifically. But he says there were a fair amount, very scary water. So, yes, please do be careful. And our thoughts, of course, are with the family of Mallett, the family and friends of Ryan Mallett, and everybody who he was close to. Very difficult loss, a very somber SEC observations. There's no graceful way to do the dumbest thing in sports this week coming up next off a segment like that, but we will try to do so. If you have your nominees, 615-737-1045 is how you submit the dumbest thing in sports this week. We'll do that coming up next.
It is 11:01. Good morning. I'm Lucas Panzica. Major League Baseball, the Braves just keep winning. 6-2, the final over the Twins on Tuesday. That's now 12 wins in the last 13 games for Atlanta, who has a 6.5-game lead at the top of the NL East. They'll look to sweep Minnesota today at 11:20. Tonight, the NHL Draft begins at 6 p.m. from Bridgestone Arena. The Preds currently holding the number 15 and 24 picks in the first round. The Preds' 2023-24 regular season schedule came out on Tuesday. They will open October 10th in Tampa Bay with the home opener October 12th against Seattle. Tragic news in the NFL on Tuesday as former Arkansas and NFL quarterback Ryan Mallett passed away in an apparent drowning at a Florida beach. Mallett was the head coach at Whitehall High School in Arkansas. He was just 35 years old. For all your foundation repair and waterproofing needs, visit USSTN.com. Breaking news at once on your home for the Titans and Vols. This is 104.5 The Zone.
Second hour here already. Welcome in, welcome back. If you've been hanging out with us so far, we're happy to have you. 615-737-1045 is the number that you call because we're getting ready to do the dumbest thing in sports this week, but not just your average dumbest thing in sports. There are many nominees. There are many good submissions out there in the wilds of the internet and the sports weekend. I'm sure that you can come up with one or two, but make sure they're good because the best or the dumbest thing in sports this week, the best submission will win what, Lucas?
This weekend, the Monster Jam World Finals happening at Nissan Stadium on Saturday. So the best submission for the dumbest thing in sports this week wins a family 4-pack of tickets to take the whole crew to go to the Monster Jam World Finals this Saturday, again, at Nissan Stadium. You can start your 4th of July weekend early. What is more American than watching giant trucks with wheels bigger than you and I flying around at Nissan Stadium? The answer is nothing. 615-737-1045.
So the dumbest thing in sports, you give us your best submission. We'll send you and 3 of your friends and family members to Nissan Stadium this weekend. And the Monster World Finals. Not just any Monster Jam.
The Monster Jam World Finals.
Spicy. Music.
Let's be honest. You've already seen something this week that made you say,
What the is this?
That's bullshit.
What the hell? Give me some more now.
Something so mind-numbingly idiotic that you just want to get it off your chest.
Dumber than a second coat of paint.
Some idiot.
You are really dumb. For real.
It's the dumbest thing in sports this week on the Buck Rising Show.
All right, I'm going to keep mine tight because I imagine some people are going to nominate me for the dumbest thing in sports this week after I say it. But I was out of town this weekend, obviously, for those of you who've been listening to the radio show. The event in Nashville this weekend that caught a lot of attention, that was very much covered, and was certainly prior to the NHL awards arriving here and the NHL Draft arriving here, took over downtown Nashville, was Pride. Nashville's Pride Parade and celebration at the Bicentennial Capitol Mall. I live close to the Bicentennial Capitol Mall. Takes over downtown Nashville every year at this point, certainly during the month of June. Now, your position on this, I don't really care about it, to be honest with you. But I did see a number of people expressing the opinion that they did not like the Titans and the Predators among the 2 teams that I saw out there participating in the Pride Parade. They did not like the fact there was a contingent of people, and I'm certain I'm speaking to a minority. There's a contingent of people that didn't like the Titans cheerleading squad marching in the Pride Parade. There's a contingent of people that didn't like Roman Yossi wearing a rainbow-colored Preds logo and handing out beads and whatnot during the Pride Parade. The dumbest thing in sports this week is people who think that gay people don't work in sports, don't exist in the sports community, aren't sports fans, and that the teams should not only be inclusive, but that they should be boycotted for these particular reasons. You don't get to be discriminatory. Your sports teams don't get to be discriminatory. That is the dumbest thing in sports this week.
My dumbest thing in sports this week stems from something that took place late last week in a Braves-Phillies game. Did you see this from the Phillies radio broadcast team?
I did after you sent it to the group.
Yes, when Marcell Ozuna, the game goes to extras. It's the top of the 10th inning in Philadelphia, and the Preds just start running it up onto the Phillies. And Marcell Ozuna hits a solo shot. He makes it a 5-0 ball game. Phillies radio broadcast team clearly is disgruntled as Ozuna is rounding the bases. And then Marcell Ozuna rounds third. And many of you have probably already seen this by now because the Braves social media team has done a fantastic job of making fun of it, as the Braves currently have a 6.5 game lead atop the NL East. And the Braves are red hot right now. They've won 12 of the last 13. Probably going to sweep the Twins with first pitch in 13 minutes. Anyway, as Ozuna rounds third, he gives legendary third base coach Ron Washington a couple of high fives, like his right hand high-fiving Washington's left hand, his left hand high-fiving Washington's right hand. It takes maybe half a second, and then Ozuna finishes the trot to home plate, and this was the reaction to the Phillies radio broadcast team.
What's that? They're going to stop in the middle of the third baseline and do
Ozuna
a hand.
just now steps
That's
on a home
joke.
plate.
Ron Washington, that's just not professional. Stop in the middle of the third baseline so they can do a little hand dance.
A little hand dance.
Little hand dance.
And I love what the Braves have done with the term hand dance. And I hope Marcell Ozuna leans into this for the
Hands will
rest
make
of
her
the
dance.
year, and he does a hand dance with Ron Washington for the rest of the season. I think Braves fans especially took issue with going at Ron Washington, calling him unprofessional. I am not a Braves fan. I cannot speak to exactly what Ron Washington means to the Braves organization, but I can tell it's a lot. And so I thought that was the dumbest thing in sports this week, to continue to see curmudgeon-y, disgruntled baseball people upset about a player high-fiving his third base coach on the way to home plate.
When people ask me why I just have zero interest in Major League Baseball, and then I see clips like that going around on the internet, and the broadcasters clutching their pearls because that's not very professional. Buddy, if I was watching sports for professional behavior, I don't even know what it would be. What sport most connotes professional behavior that would be at all interesting? The ones that are dying? Horse racing? Where they're literally dying. They're killing all the horses on the track what's the place where they run the Kentucky Derby? I'm blanking.
Is it Louisville?
Yes, I know, but the name of the track.
Oh. I don't remember.
Churchill Downs, for God's sakes.
Yeah.
Anyway, they had to shut it down. Like, professional behavior in sports is not what I'm there for. The people in baseball, especially Major League Baseball, make it so hard for everybody else to just enjoy their sport.
Yeah, but you're on the total other end of the spectrum, right? Like you're on the you want the middle fingers,
yeah,
and you want all of those things. Most people are in the middle ground where it's like you don't need to be flipping off everybody every time you do something good, but like it's okay to high five your third base coach when you're rounding third.
That's correct.
After hitting a home run when you're beating a division rival in extra innings at their place. It's okay.
I am for sure a sportsmanship extremist in that I hate it. I don't want it. I don't want any part of it. I want people to, I want more middle fingers from dugout to dugout. I want more bat flips. I want more bragging. I want more pounding on your chest after you hit a solo home run. I want more of that in sports. So I'm an extremist that way. But I will say, just baseball people, especially older baseball people, their tightness around the need for class and sportsmanship and professionalism in their sport, no thank you. 615-737-1045 is how you submit your dumbest thing in sports this week for an opportunity to win a family 4-pack to the Monster Jam World Finals this weekend at Nissan Stadium. It's a great way to get the long weekend started for a lot of you, and certainly going to be an electric event. Great way to get your 4th of July weekend started at Monster Jam, 615-737-1045. Let's start the bidding with Jason from the Borough. Hey, Jason.
Hey, guys.
Hey, buddy.
I think for me, I feel like the NBA, the dumbest thing in sports is the Chris Paul trade and with Jordan Poole. Why are you getting CP3? You know CP3 coming on to the Warriors is not going to help y'all win a championship. Why are you bringing him on to the Warriors? And Jordan Poole, he's young, so you should have held on to him for a couple more years before you got rid of him.
Thanks for the call, Jason. Well, it's made dumber by. Did you see the quote from the Warriors GM like 3 or 4 days before they traded Jordan Poole, saying that they plan to have him for the next like 4 or 5 years on their roster? I mean, why would you let Jordan Poole go is the question, unless you're bringing back Draymond Green, and those dudes just absolutely hate each other.
Yeah, those dudes can't coexist on a roster anymore. They just can't.
They just can't.
It was bleeding over to this past postseason. Like, well, it was against the Kings, I believe, in either Game 6 or 7, that sequence where Poole's coming off, and Draymond tries to, like, kind of dap him up, high-five. He's high-fiving everybody, and Poole just brushes by him, ignores him, and sits down, and then Steph comes over, and he, like, points his finger, wags it at Poole, and says, like, you know, scolds him a little bit, and then comes over to Draymond and high-fives Draymond. Like, it was getting toxic. Get him out of there.
Shane Miles on the F&M Bank chat says, my dumbest thing in sport is that someone that is going to be bigger than Mike Trout plays for the Braves, and Buck has no idea who I'm talking about.
We know who Ronald Acuna is, Shane.
But I also don't. I also one of those people who likes to make jokes about not knowing what Mike Trout looks like, even though I do know what Mike Trout looks like.
Mike Trout is a very distinct-looking human being.
No,
no,
he is not.
Yes, he is.
He's the most the only thing distinct about that man is his neck.
He is so bald.
Oh, is he bald?
Yes.
He always has a baseball cap on.
Mike Trout would be very easy to spot out of a lineup.
I don't think that's true. I think he's the most generic, creative person, sim-looking human being that I've ever seen in my life. Every time they show him on, it's usually an NFL broadcast. I'm not watching baseball like that, other than to see the rare, not the rare, in fact, they're becoming very, very much more frequent Shohei Ohtani highlights that I continue to see.
No, Mike Trout's not bald. I didn't think Mike Trout was bald.
You
I stand corrected.
Are sitting there telling me that he's one of the most distinctive human beings out there.
I stand corrected.
And you have no idea what he looks like.
He's almost bald. He's got like the military buzz cut, but he's not bald.
Bleep you. Jim freaking Nance says, I didn't know he was bald. That's because he's not. Point proven. Thank you very much. Jordan is in Murfreesboro next. Hey, Jordan. Lucas, turn the phone line on. Lucas is on the phone, so he can't hear me. I can't hear Jordan. Lucas. Okay, I'm going to put you back on hold, Jordan, until Lucas gets off the phone line so he can unmute the phone line that I can't currently hear. That's making this a little more difficult. In fact, Lucas, would you mind unmuting the phone line so that I can hear the callers? Thank you. Jordan in the borough is next. Hey, Jordan.
Hey, how y'all doing?
Great.
My dumbest thing in sport would have to be Grady Dick's NBA draft suit. I mean, looking at him, just sitting there wearing that suit, he looked like he was waiting for the judge's score to win a gold medal for his first ever figure skating award.
So Grady, it's being described as the Wizard of Oz suit. I haven't seen it. I haven't seen it myself. So Grady Dick is the player. I'm seeing
Kansas.
It. Wow. Look at him.
Yeah, very shiny and red.
So because he's going for the Dorothy move. We're not in
Kansas anymore.
Not in Kansas anymore.
I hope that was the intention.
If that's the, that's a pretty loud outfit. You got to be pretty confident in your decisions to wear an outfit like that. But if he's going for a certain kind of theme, I don't necessarily hate it. It's not the worst thing I've ever seen. All right. We'll get more calls for the dumbest thing in sports this week. Coming up next, we'll also ask Mike Giardi what the dumbest thing in sports this week is. And the latest, some new teams who are being rumored to be in the DeAndre Hopkins sweepstakes. We'll update you on that coming up next. The Tennessee Men's Clinic is here to help guys as they continue to go through the process of aging, as your body starts to change. One of these issues that can arise is erectile dysfunction. It can affect your outlook on life, it can cause depression, and it can increase your anxiety to avoid intimacy. There can be a lot of frustration with dudes, a lot of skepticism, a lot of negativity around getting the help that you need when it comes to ED, and everybody is going to have a different treatment plan because no one size fits all. The Tennessee Men's Clinic has successfully treated thousands of men in this area. They have an experienced staff who will work with you to find a treatment path that can involve a variety of different options. Most men wait a year or longer. There's no need to do so. Call the Tennessee Men's Clinic today at 615-208-9090. That's 615-208-9090, or visit them today at TennesseeMen'sClinic.com. We're going to have Giardi, Mike Giardi, here in just a minute. We'll talk about the latest with DeAndre Hopkins. A couple of different updates on that as we pivot into more Titans discussion as we get into the second half of the show. There are some new teams being rumored and reported to be interested in DeAndre Hopkins. According to Sal Paolantonio of ESPN, Sal Pal apparently was on ESPN radio yesterday and had said that two teams, in addition to the Patriots and the Titans, had emerged with interest in the veteran wide receiver. While the New England Patriots sound like the leaders, an interesting note that the Patriots sound like, again, you can take that for what it's worth. You may not think it's worth much, but this is what it is. This is how the tweet reads. While the New England Patriots sound like the leaders, the Cleveland Browns and Carolina Panthers are still lurking on DeAndre Hopkins, per Sal Paolantonio. Now, the Browns portion of that was disputed by Albert Breer, or maybe not disputed, but followed up by Albert Breer. Albert Breer, who wrote in his Monday Morning Quarterback column, or I'm sorry, it's not called the Monday Morning Quarterback anymore. It is the Monday Morning Quarterback. Peter King is who changed his to Football Morning in America. Either way, so what Breer says of Hopkins and the Browns specifically, don't expect them to pursue Hopkins any further than they already have. Quote, by all accounts, he had a really strong spring, continued to the comfort level that Cleveland had with its receiver room. Speaking of Elijah Moore having a strong spring and that lessening the Browns' interest or not necessarily increasing their urgency to try and pursue DeAndre Hopkins. So of Elijah Moore, who some of you might have forgotten, was traded from the Jets to the Browns this past offseason. By all accounts, he had a really strong spring, contributed to the comfort level that Cleveland had with its receiver room, which is the reason why the team hasn't dipped its toe into the DeAndre Hopkins sweepstakes quite yet, and probably won't change, barring some sort of material change. So I think that the Hopkins situation, while nobody is disputing the Carolina interest, and Carolina trading away DJ Moore to the Bears this offseason, building around a young quarterback. DeAndre Hopkins has said previously that he's not necessarily interested in breaking in a new young quarterback, but Bryce Young is regarded as somebody who is special at the position. He's the number one overall pick. Now, so was Kyler Murray. So DeAndre Hopkins has experienced that in his life before. But I don't think that it necessarily, by hearing that there's an additional team, I don't think it necessarily weakens the Titans' position any more than it might have already been weakened, right? At some point, DeAndre Hopkins is going to choose a team to play for in 2023. If it is, in fact, the Titans, it seems like it will be a bit of a stretch. I don't have anything that would support the reporting or, by the way, go against the reporting that New England isn't the favorite to land DeAndre Hopkins. I don't know if that's being considered the betting favorite. I don't know if there's something that we don't know that hasn't been reported out there yet or hasn't been discussed here locally about DeAndre Hopkins in New England, but perhaps we'll ask a New England local, Mike Giardi, here with us on 104.5 The Zone. What'd you do? Yeah, your phone on silent? What happened?
No. I contemplated. I saw the number. I was like, do I really want to talk to Buck? And then you sound terrible. So what this is proof is that even though you're acting like you're still 21, you're not.
Okay.
Catches up with you, brother. That's all I'm saying.
What are you alleging?
I'm alleging that you can't handle your extracurriculars. It's not even an argument. I think it's been actually proven. Were you or were you not problematic on your first day back from work?
I was in fact problematic on my first day back from work. I was 10 minutes late to the radio show that has my name on it.
Is that not a fireable offense? I kind of thought that was a fireable offense. Suspension.
We're 2 days later and nobody's taken me out yet.
Over?
It's a strike.
Well,
it's a strike, Mike. I don't know how many strikes that is, but I've alleged a quarter-life crisis. And that at this rate will soon become a midlife crisis.
Yeah, I think we're definitely headed that way. You know, it's like he's posting like the thirst trap photos now on Instagram. He's changed his profile pic. There's a lot of stuff going on here we could dive deeper into. And I know that the people out there, they've seen it. They see what I see. Lucas knows that he's living it. Poor guy.
Well, I can't. If I'm going through quarter life crisis would be 25, and I'm going to be 30 here in less than a month. So I think it's closer to a midlife crisis at this stage. If I'm having a midlife crisis, Mike, then Lucas is my spouse having to deal with this. Lucas is my significant other in this scenario.
Just because I am the one that spends the most time with you does not make me your significant other.
You're basically my work wife. Happy Pride. Well done,
Lucas, I'm so sorry.
I am a great cook.
615. Why am I giving out the phone number? Giardi's here. Anyway.
Because you're a disaster.
I am a disaster. Mike has been. Okay, help me here. All right, before we actually talk about DeAndre Hopkins, if one is invited to a beer Olympics that starts at noon and has a radio show that ends at 1 p.m., is it not acceptable to go participate and then go about the rest of my day? Now, the results of that I'm paying for and that the audience and Lucas is suffering for, and you by extension of being on the radio show today, are suffering for because I sound like somebody's taken a cheese grater to my vocal cords. Is it not socially acceptable in the time of year that we have time to do such things for me to participate?
Well, this coming off the heels of the Vegas trip, which you couldn't handle. So you couldn't handle that. Then you come back to this, and then you compound the like you're an error repeater. Bill Belichick does not like error repeaters. I don't think Mike Vrabel likes error repeaters. You, sir, are an error repeater.
I am not coachable, and Mike Vrabel likes new mistakes, but not players who make the same mistakes.
Repeat offender.
I am definitely a repeat offender. Mike Giardi is here with us. At Mike Giardi is where you can follow him on Twitter for all of his insights and information on the NFL. What do we make? How tangible are these latest reports, according to Sal Palantonio, that there is interest from Cleveland and from Carolina in the services of one DeAndre Hopkins?
I absolutely have heard Carolina is now sort of kicking around the idea of Hopkins and what it would bring to the table. And, you know, obviously they move DJ Moore, and now you look at their roster and their construction and you say, well, how are they going to help their quarterback? And again, as we've seen, the trend here the last 3-4 years is go get him that guy, and Hopkins is the most available that guy on the market right now. So they'd be foolish not to at least look into it. They certainly have the money to do it. And I keep coming back to of all the other reports. You know, it seems like there's a lot of pushback in Cleveland that they're saying that they're fine with their roster. I look at them and say the Cooper contract is a tough one. That if you're going to take on Hopkins on top of Cooper, let's be honest, you're overpaying Cooper. He's not that player. He's never been that player. I don't think. I've maybe 1 year in Dallas. So are you compounding that, by adding another high salaried wide receiver and trying to appease your quarterback, or are you saying, maybe there's something we can do with Amari here in the short term and allows us to bring on someone like Hopkins? But that just seems like a little bit more complicated for me. But look, from the Cleveland standpoint, this is it for them. Like Stefanski, it's either poop or get off the pot, buddy. So there could be some push from the coach to say, hey, it's my job. Let's go all in. Let's do what we can and worry about the salary cap, which is mostly crap anyway. Worry about that later.
Okay, I hate that you're one of these salary cap isn't real people, because I've been pleading with people to look at the salary cap like their credit score and understand that the bill eventually comes due. You need to stop propagating this bad financial advice.
No, you guys are all idiots with the salary cap thing. Look, you got to look at the salary cap in a 3 or 4 year window. Everybody gets caught up in the 1 year. You can do whatever the hell you want to the cap. You can move it around, and look, the Titans have done that to a certain degree. Yeah, does the bill come due? Sure, it does. 5 years later, who gives a damn? Like,
yes, but this is the fifth year. The bill has come due. They have a $38 million quarterback.
Unless you're a Pat Mahomes, Josh Allen, like those teams, they can move stuff around, and maybe they'll have that 1 year where they, you know what, we got to let go of the 31-year-old tight end who's making $15 million, and we got to let go of that pass rusher who's making $10 million. So maybe we take a slight step back, but you still have Pat Mahomes. Some of these other teams, they don't have that. And if you're trying to get yourself into that conversation, you just spend like idiots And yeah, fine, we'll pay it 5 years down the road. I don't give a damn about 5 years down the road. I don't think fans should, this is the thing that the owners have got you, and by a certain degree, the GMs have gotten you as the fan conditioned to believe. Therefore, you can explain away. In New England, we heard all the time, Bill's great managing the salary cap. He's 25 and 26 in the last 3 years. They got beat in the playoffs the one time they went by 35 points. I don't give a damn about the salary cap. You were able to manage your salary cap because you had the best quarterback in NFL history, arguably, in Tom Brady. And guys came and played for cheap. That's not how the league works generally. People want their money. They deserve their money. I think we had this conversation last time we talked. If Hopkins wants $20 million a year because OBJ got 15, God bless him. Go get it.
Yeah, I agree with that.
If someone's willing to pay you, go get it. So I don't know. You guys the cap is total nonsense.
No, listen, I am largely
pay attention to dead cap.
Buddy, that's what I'm paying attention to here. They're still paying $9 million of Julio Jones in dead money. The dead money here is real. That's what I'm saying, specific to this fan base. In this year, Mike, that is not an approach that necessarily is going to work in their favor, even though they have all the money in the world next year. I understand what you're saying. I'm absolutely a proponent of teams going all in. I don't give a damn about 5 years down the road. I don't know where I'm going to be. I don't know where they're going to be. All I know is if I'm a fan, I want to see them do the most to win right now. But this is a particularly unique circumstance because they tried those moves, they blew up in their face, and they didn't do anything but lose to Kansas City in an AFC Championship game.
So you fault them for them doing it? Because at least they gave themselves an opportunity to do it?
No, I don't fault them.
I think Julio Jones is well worth the risk. It turned out it didn't work out. Okay, sorry. I'm not going to get mad at I'm not going to get mad at John Robinson and Mike Vrabel for thinking hey, we got him, we got AJ. Now all of a sudden, how do you defend us? That could be the thing that takes you over the top, or you hope can take you over the top. It didn't. Okay, fine.
Is Hopkins going to take any of these teams being mentioned, Carolina, Tennessee, or New England, quote unquote, over the top?
No, God no.
Well, then we're having a different conversation than Julio.
Surely, but we were talking. You just got a sidetrack because I'm an anti-cap guy. You just totally got a sidetrack on anti-cap. We're not talking about the same thing here. If I'm Tennessee, if I'm looking at the big picture and looking at the way they operated this offseason and some of the things they did, which would tell you they're leaning more towards what? Resetting, right? There's been a lot of financial reset.
Whatever R word you want to use, yes.
Yeah, exactly. Well, they don't want to use the other word, so we'll say reset. So does Hopkins make sense? Not really. Not really unless, to me, this is me talking, not really unless you're thinking to yourself, Will Levis is going to be the quarterback at some point this season. And if we want to get a true gauge on whether Will Levis is someone that we should consider the starting quarterback and a potential franchise quarterback going forward, we want to see Will Levis in the best situation possible. And right now, if you insert Will Levis into this offense with the personnel as currently constituted, you might not be able to get that read. So you might go into next offseason thinking, I don't know if Will Levis is the guy. I have no idea. You could be in once again, I'll take it to New England. You could be in the Mac Jones business. They have no idea if Mac Jones is the guy you saw as a rookie with a chance for improvement when he was the best rookie quarterback of the bunch, or is he the guy who last year with the rest of that team offensively who fell on his face and got kind of benched for the backup, who's a 5'11" midget, like that. They have no idea. So it's a massive year for him. And they go into this offseason now. At the end of this year, they have to decide whether they want to pick up the fifth-year option. The fifth-year option is not chump change by any standard. So, it's a huge year. So does Hopkins make sense for them? Much like maybe it makes sense for Tennessee with the Will Levis question, it might make sense for the Patriots because let's find out if this guy is someone that actually can elevate us or if he's just another guy and we got to get back in the quarterback market.
Oh, for God's sakes, Lucas. We have breaking news. He was supposed to hit the sound. He did. Ah, damn it.
Breaking sports news on 104.5 The Zone.
Per Adam Schefter of ESPN, a handful of NFL players, including Colts cornerback and kick returner Isaiah Rodgers, are expected to receive season-long suspensions this week for allegedly gambling sources tell ESPN. So they haven't named any other players who are expected to receive season-long suspensions at this point, Mike. But that is including the biggest story that Colts cornerback and kick returner Isaiah Rodgers, who's been out there on social media expressing his remorse and taking responsibility for his actions and all these things. Season-long suspensions, it sounds like, for him and for a variety of different unnamed NFL players as the league continues to cull this issue that they seem to be having.
The issue that they invited?
Yeah, I know.
I mean, and look, so everybody's in bed with the betting companies now because the betting companies have more money than God, and they're advertising for everything and, giving I don't know if you're specifically, but in general, like, hey, use the buck code, you get 15% off your first deposit or whatever.
No, buddy, it's keeping my industry alive. Are you kidding me? The gambling money that's been dumped all over sports media is one of the biggest reasons I think these things can sustain. Exactly.
So, I understand why companies would take the money, but I think the NFL, they don't, whatever. They're just making more profit with the deals. And I'm not going to, it's just like with Hopkins, you want to take the money. But it does lead to this issue with the players. And I know that, you've heard from some people say, like, it's really simple and it's explained to us, but then you've heard from other teams and players on other teams saying that no one really talked to us about it. I don't have I don't know what I can and cannot do. Yeah. Like, why is it okay for me to place a bet in my house, but I can't place a bet on a basketball game while I'm sitting in the training room getting attention on my bad ankle? Like, what sort of line is that? It's like, if you're going to let them bet, you're going to let them bet. If you're not, you're not. So that's, can't have both. I think to me, it's just be like, hey guys, you can't do any of it. You're out. We can't. We catch you, you're gone for a year. That's it. And now you're getting this. And I know Florio teased something a couple weeks ago about sort of almost making it like it was I would think the way he worded it was a star type player who lost $8 million in gambling. You think that's the only story like that? I bet you there's a bunch of them.
No, it's just, it's, gambling, guns, all the things that people don't think about until they see things on social media or they think it's not real until it's visible to the public, when in reality, like, this has been going on, and now it's just being further exposed because now the league is trying to protect partnerships and whatever credibility that they would like to stand on. Mike Giardi, at Mike Giardi is where you can follow him. A pleasure, I think, as always. Now get the hell out of here.
Yeah, you too. Show up to work on time, will you?
Maybe. We'll see. Depends on the day.
Sorry, Lucas.
Goodbye, Michael. That's Mike Giardi with us on 104.5 The Zone. 615-737-1045. We can talk about this. I want to get into more on this gambling story, this breaking news from Adam Schefter, that among several players, including Colts kick returner and defensive back Isaiah Rodgers, several NFL players are expected to be suspended for an entire season because of gambling-related issues. We'll dive into that coming up next. All right, of all the jokes and pranks that are played on me around here, as Bert wanders off, probably to jump scare me, what was that you just pulled in the commercial break? You want to explain yourself?
What are you talking about?
Explain yourself. What's wrong what you did to me?
Like, you cannot. You need to look in the mirror, man.
Nope.
You got to stop.
Nope.
Blaming everybody around you for your lack of humanity.
My lack of humanity?
Yes.
What do you mean lack of humanity?
So Hunk and his lovely wife,
Joe Hunk of 3HL, and his wife Tori,
yes, brought their lovely 2-month-old baby, Anderson, the most adorable little baby girl I think I have ever seen,
okay,
into the control room here during the break for Robert and I to meet her. And then they brought her into the studio for you to meet her. And you are upset with us as if we pulled like a prank on you or something and did you wrong by putting you in the same room as a baby. Like, these are things you're supposed to grow out of when you're like 19 or 20.
Nope.
I don't understand.
Babies freak me out. They freak me out. And you're right.
Like
she's
a 29-year-old man-child.
She's cute. Most baby, can I objectively say, because neither of you have children, most babies are ugly. Yes? Like, objectively.
I don't think most are ugly, but
Yes.
there are ugly babies.
They look like aliens.
There are ugly babies.
Like something that's just, it's kind of like the thing in Alien versus Predator, the thing that, like, it's got all that, like, mucus-looking stuff all over it when it emerges from the human being's chest. Like, that is my perpetual image.
Have you ever told someone their baby's ugly?
Yes.
Wow, what an ugly baby.
I've definitely said.
Like, you got to be real close friends with someone and be like, hey, congrats, man, amazing.
Not that close.
That's an ugly baby.
Not that close with them. Not that close with the person who I told. I mean, but this was objectively a very ugly baby. Now, Hunk's baby, Anderson, adorable. Objectively adorable. She came in here. She was smiley and cute. She didn't throw up on anything. There was no bathroom issues. Like, Tori walked up to her as if she was about to hand me the baby, and I recoiled as if somebody was coming after me with, like, a taser. I don't know why I'm like this. I wish that, I'd say that I wish that I could fix it. I don't really. That's not really my thing. But it's not even them. It's not even you that I'm mad at. It's them. They were going to come in here during the segment and scare me with the baby.
I mean, they thought it would be funny.
Yeah, it would have been a terrible moment because this is now having time to collect myself and have my thoughts to make sure I don't say anything bad. Had they walked in here while the microphone was on and we're live, God knows how that would have gone. But congratulations to Joe and Tori Hunk on the beautiful Anderson Hunk. 2 months old?
Yeah, what did they say, 2.5?
2.5.
2.5.
What are you so scared of, though? What are you scared of? You scared is it like a China doll kind of thing where you're like, oh, I don't want to be the one to, like, accidentally drop it?
No, I don't want bodily fluids on me.
Oh, come on. It's covered up, man. It's like taking the trash out. Do you like taking the trash out?
Do I like taking the trash? I mean,
It's better than carrying it out in your arms, though, right? Because it's covered up. Like, you can't get it all over.
What do you mean it's covered up?
It's in a bag.
No.
She was clothed.
They drool, they throw up like they do. You don't know when these things are going to happen. They just there is
UW in the FNM Bank chat says you need counseling.
I think Buck should have to foster a child.
No.
After this segment.
Why?
I think we should sign Buck up for Nashville's Big Brother program.
I like that. It'd be like the movie Role Models.
I think that's a terrible idea. I think that would be complete. Not even because I would not be a good role model, but like for the child. The child needs some LARPing.
It's kind of like Big Daddy. He's like, I've been trying to get this kid to eat all day. All he eats is ketchup. What's it?
Great movie.
UW says Buck's lack of self-awareness is appalling, and that's why I need counseling. No, I'm very self-aware. In fact, I think I'm the most self-aware person out there. I think that I am the most self-aware about how big a D-bag that I am. I think the more that you understand that, the easier life gets. I am totally aware that of my shortcomings, of my failings, of my lack of humanity in certain situations. I think that owning that is as self-aware as humanly possible.
Can I offer something up? I think this year for all of us needs to be the year of getting better. You know, getting closer to that perfect us, right? That unattainable us. I think we should put all of your shortcomings on a piece of paper. Find
Who
one of them.
gets to make that list?
Okay, so you can't swim. You hate babies. Scared of commitment. Don't drink beer.
Scared of commitment?
Yeah. So you're telling me you love commitment? You're down to commit?
No, not a big commitment.
That's what I'm saying. You wouldn't even commit to me on this show. I just sneak in here through the shadows.
I don't understand why you keep coming back here. You have a full-time job on another show.
I miss you.
Yeah, I know.
Okay, so I'm going to put all of your shortcomings on a piece of paper. I'll do it for me, too. Lucas can do it. And we're going to pick something, and we're going to make it better. We're going to fix it.
Okay, can mine not be children?
I'm not going to promise that.
Okay.
I think you just picked it for us.
We're going to put it on a wheel. If the wheel lands there.
If the wheel lands there, what? What's?
Well, then you got to do it. You got to adopt a baby. You got to be a daddy.
I have to be a dad. No, we're not talking about adopting a baby.
It's on the wheel.
There is no wheel.
When it's on the wheel, there's no turning back.
I don't make the rules.
Okay, so what if the wheel lands on a baby for you two?
That won't be on our wheel.
Oh, okay.
We like babies.
It's not a weak spot for us. It's not a shortcoming for us. We like babies. We are perfectly comfortable with adorable baby girls being put into our arms.
I was fine. Once I understood that I didn't have to hold it and that it didn't make any noise. That's not.
Put it on the wheel.
It's on the wheel.
It's on the wheel.
Damn it, I wish that was on purpose.
Just a beautiful baby child that you just referred to as an it.
I did. I swear to God, I didn't mean to. This is why we can't do these things while there's a live microphone in front of my face, because I'm going to say something bad. 615-737-1045 is how you get in on the conversation. We were supposed to talk about the gambling situation in the NFL. We will do so later on. Apparently, there are calls to this effect. I'm not crazy about that. Jason is in Murfreesboro up next. Hey, Jason.
Hey, man. We got a new dumbest thing in sports. It's your shortcomings there, Buck. Love you, man.
Look at him giggle.
That's all he had.
Look at it. It's just a drive-by.
Jason should get Monster Jam tickets just for that.
He already did.
He did win.
So you let a repeat caller on there just to take me out at the knees?
In my defense, I feel like we have a million Jasons that call in, so I never know which
There
is
are
which.
a lot of Jasons. It's a very popular name. Sugar Ray. Is it Sugar Ray Ray? Sugar A. Ray. I don't know. Either way, on the F&M Bank chat says, wow, Buck needs to grow up with his thinking on babies the way he thinks is the same way that my 9-year-old niece and nephew think. I don't understand why that is something that has to be resolved. Some people aren't good with kids. Again, the self-awareness. The fact that I'm aware that I'm not good with children, I feel like that's okay. Not everybody has to be kid-friendly. I wasn't mean. I was very nice. I was very hospitable. Would you judge, Robert, my interaction with the child, not it, with the child, as pleasant? It was a pleasant exchange.
It seemed kind of indifferent. It seemed kind of like a take it or leave it kind of thing.
It just seemed like you trying not to be rude. That's what it seemed like.
Oh, what a child that is.
I said she's very cute, and I meant it. I didn't lie. She's a cute baby. If it was an ugly baby, I probably would have said something.
All right.
He's like, oh, her nose is a little big, but
adopt.
Is that what you would have just?
Does she have a lazy eye?
Nitpick something.
Stop.
Oh, what a cute baby! Is that a lazy eye? That left eye a little behind.
God. I don't get, like, not everybody has to be, down with kids. There's nothing wrong with them. I'm not mad at yours. Yeah, love that you love your children. Not for me.
Got to find a new way to describe it, because down with kids does not sound like the way you should put it.
Okay, fair enough phrasing.
All right. Adopt a kid, learn how to swim.
You got to pick one.
I don't want either of those.
All right, I'm telling you.
By the way, Anderson Hunk, the 2.5-month child,
yes,
better swimmer than you. Like, scientifically, that baby is a better swimmer than you.
What do you mean?
Because infant children can swim.
You don't know that?
I do.
That is a thing. That's
I bet I'd
fact.
outswim that baby in a heartbeat.
All right, we're going to the Comfort Inn across the street. Let's rally up, Hunk and
the
Tori.
Comfort Inn has a pool
Get the
across
baby.
street?
We're going to the Comfort Inn pool. We're throwing Buck and the baby in the pool. We're going to see who swims.
No. Wait. There is no way that hotel across the street from us has a pool.
You're right. You drive by it constantly.
That has to be the saddest pool in America.
We'll do it in my backyard.
No.
We're headed to Hermitage.
We're doing it in a pool.
Speaking of the saddest pool in
Everybody
America.
pile into Robert's Bronco. We're going to the above ground pool with Buck and Hunk's baby.
No, because the last time I was in Robert's Bronco, he tried to fall asleep at the wheel.
I'll stay awake this time.
Shadows.
No, I can't drive yet.
Rick in Hendersonville. Hey, Rick.
Oh, God, I love this segment. But it takes me back a couple of segments now. Number one, yesterday, Buck, you are the only person that I know of that eats French fries with a knife and fork.
I got a lot of texts about that, actually, Rick. People were shocked.
God. And then they tried to bring up punishments, for you or trying to, sell tickets. I think you need to go to the lazy river, get in a inner tube, but you have to wear one of them big orange life vests.
Oh, that's fine. I would insist, Rick. That's the only way.
About an embarrassing moment. My God.
Headed to Nashville Shores.
Today with kids, I mean, you're pitiful. That's all I got.
That's a drop. You know what? He's right, and I don't care. 29 years old, I'm set in my ways. 615-737-1045 if you would like to question my moral choices or talk about what Traylon Burks could learn from DeAndre Hopkins. Should that situation arise, we can do both of those things coming up next.
It is 12:03. Good afternoon. I'm Lucas Panzica. News in the National Football League as a handful of NFL players, including Colts cornerback and kick returner Isaiah Rodgers, are expected to receive a season-long suspension this week for allegedly gambling. That is courtesy of ESPN's Adam Schefter. Tennessee basketball news. The Vols will take on the North Carolina Tar Heels coming up this season in November in Chapel Hill as Tennessee will make its inaugural ACC SEC Challenge debut on November 29th at UNC. Tonight, the NHL Draft begins at 6 p.m. from Bridgestone Arena. Predators currently have the number 15 and 24 picks in the first round. The Preds 2023-24 regular season schedule came out on Tuesday. They will open October 10th in Tampa Bay with the home opener October 12th against Seattle. For all your foundation repair and waterproofing needs, visit USSTN.com. Breaking news at once on your home for the Titans and Vols. This is 104.5 The Zone.
Final hour here on this Wednesday. Welcome in. Lovely to have you here with Bert, Lucas, and myself. 615-737-1045 is where you join the discussion or let yourself be heard in the F&M Bank chat. Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, and on Twitch is where you can basically hang out in the studio with us. A lot of people expressing their thoughts and concerns, their sentiments about how the last segment went for us, boys, or I guess went for me. People are coming up with punishments that I must do for the next bet that we make amongst ourselves, and I think it's come time for another one. I think collectively we need to put our minds together and come up with a bit that we can do on the air that causes me some kind of physical, mental, or emotional pain as a means to sell tickets for the bowling event that's coming up on July 13th. We need to sell 33 tickets by the end of today. By the end of today. It is a must. It's absolutely critical. We are trying to raise funds for Home Street Home. I know we ask you guys for a lot around here, and you always come through strong, but I need your help more today than I think at any other point because it's a very important event to us, the bowling event. It's very important that we continue to support people who are doing great works in this community. And, like I said, a lot of you guys just bought tickets to the install. You probably have vacations and whatnot going on. Got your own things and plans on the weekend. This is a Thursday night at Kings Bowl in Cool Springs. Your ticket includes the portion of the proceeds that are going to charity, your food for the evening from 6 to 10 p.m., bowling, unlimited bowling during those hours, and drink tickets included with your purchase at 1045thezone.com. We really want to make this a success for Home Street Home. And the 33 number, the tickets specifically today, is the number that we were told that we needed to meet by Thursday to make sure that things can continue to move forward as scheduled. So 33 tickets by the end of the day, 1045thezone.com. And I am willing to commit to doing, I'm not going to adopt a child, the way that we talked about earlier. Not going to do that. Sorry, Bert. But I am willing to consider the other alternative if it helps us move these tickets. I am willing to consider the taking of swim lessons and putting it on social media as a means to publicly shame me. I think that is what would best serve the audience because, maybe I'm sure I'm going to look horrendous trying to learn how to swim, but I will commit to doing this because people are alleging that a lot of this stuff is just an act. Lucci? Is it Lucci Aiden? Lucas, I'll go to my Italian expert.
Yes, I believe that is how it would be pronounced.
Okay. He says, of the situation, Buck is like every kid's opposite day. He just does the most opposite thing you can do about everything. French fries with a fork. He's not really like this. No grown man is really like this. The man seems completely and very obviously concerned about the situation. He says, that's why I think it's an act. Either that he or he practiced doing the most impractical things until they became habit. Would you consider any of these things, Lucas or Bert, to be an act?
I think
sometimes I play into it.
I think it started out as one, and you've just created such a caricature of yourself that now you believe it.
About what?
All of it.
That's probably true.
Again, like, this is not a job for Bert and I. This is a job for a therapist.
Well, I used to go to therapy. It's been a while.
That we should not be involved in.
Yeah, I want to get back to what you're going to do to sweeten the pot. Like, of course, we want to do stuff to help the event.
I need this done today. I need people to help us in putting on an incredible event to raise money. Well, I need people's help to raise money by means of having an incredible event for Home Street Home. I need people's help today.
Okay, so you know how this works. It's a quid pro quo. So what you're going to give something to get something.
I understand that.
What are you going to give us, me, Lucas, the listeners?
Social media is swim lessons something that would be satisfactory? Is the shame of a 29-year-old man at this stage in my life taking swim lessons? Do they have swim lessons for adults?
Yes.
At places? Because you can't put me in a pool with
I have no interest in watching you take swim lessons.
Okay.
That sounds terrible.
That's what I'm saying.
I would like to throw you into the deep end of a pool and see what happens. That is entertainment.
Okay. And what if we had lifeguards there?
Well, there would probably be waivers that needed to be signed, one would assume, and we probably should talk to HR about this.
We wouldn't let you die.
I don't believe that.
There's no way we'd let you drown. How bad would we look? How bad would we look? The only benefits were we wouldn't have to work with you. Me and Lucas would probably get the show. We wouldn't have to cater to certain things. So I think we should do the deep end. No lifeguards.
The deep end and no lifeguards.
Yeah, Bert and I can save you if it comes to that.
Yeah, I'm a hefty swimmer. I'm like a walrus.
No, I want actual lifeguards.
Okay.
I don't want you two as the lifeguards.
We can save you because we can swim.
Andrew Barnowski says, I'll be your lifeguard. No, I want lifeguards, not people who want to be lifeguards for this particular exercise. Because I'm not opposed. Now, we could do this at Nashville Shores, which you know I would hate.
I would love to see you. And see, that would kind of be a double fold where he would be surrounded by children.
Oh.
He would be surrounded by the...
I'm going to hate it.
I'm going to say something bad.
We need to go to peak Nashville Shores hours on a Saturday afternoon in the middle of the summer, like this weekend, and the wave pool it's not like deep, so we would need to throw you into the lake. I mean, it would have to be the lake. And then a lifeguard would come running saying, no swimming in the lake.
Oh, and they would save you.
And they would have to be required to save you.
Yes.
We need to call HR. 615-737-1045. Here, though, I think to hammer home the importance of the message, because we're doing this, of course, for a great cause. The cause is Home Street Home, a charitably run organization by Stephen and Andy Young, who help the homeless community here in Middle Tennessee, those who, it seems, society considers most easy to forget or to leave by the wayside, literally to leave by the wayside. That is something that we are trying to help their efforts in making sure that people understand that the homeless community, the unhoused community here in Middle Tennessee has someone to care for them in the way that we all have basic needs. Stephen Young is with us now on 104.5 The Zone. Hey, buddy.
Hey, man. How's it going?
It's going great.
Good. I want to kind of up your ante, and I believe we've left an important factor out of this diving into the deep end. I believe, now, if 33, is that the number we need to get today?
33. We got to get to 33 today, Stephen.
Okay. We need 33 tickets sold today, and I will go ahead and commit for Buck the following addition to the diving into the deep end. He will do so in a Speedo.
I will. I will do it.
A Borat Speedo.
He will do so in a Speedo.
I will do that.
So, if that's not worth the price of a ticket, nothing in this town is.
My God.
Trust me.
That's going to live on this. Stephen.
From what I've been told, it's really not a big thing. So,
oh, no. Whoa.
You shouldn't have any problem wearing a Speedo.
Whoa.
Robert's left the room. Robert had to leave the room.
Robert ran out of the room. Stephen Young, ladies and gentlemen, and for no other reason than I've been physically, mentally, and now emotionally shamed.
We were having a nice time.
We were having a nice time. We're not having a nice time anymore, but that is what we will do. Yes, I will put myself in a Speedo.
Seriously, Buck, I appreciate y'all and what you do for our friends on the street. And you're right, it is a serious situation, and the need is great. A lot of people, and you've said this before on your show, and I've said it when I've been blessed to be there. A lot of people they worry about them in the wintertime, which is great, but the danger is just as real in the summertime. Look at what we're looking at in the next few days here in Nashville. We're going to be in the upper 90s with feel-like temperature of way above 100. And dehydration and heat stroke kills just as many homeless people as winter weather does, and sometimes more. And we tend to forget once those freezing temperatures go by the wayside come spring that the danger is just as real come summer. Keeping them hydrated is not easy. Today alone, I have delivered over 70 cases of water, and I'm still out. I'm on my second load because they have to stay hydrated. So the need is great. And, Buck, I think you know this. I spent 5 years on the streets, and I was always appreciative of every little thing that was ever done for me. And our friends that live out there now, they're the same way. And literally, what better way than to get together, have fun, enjoy some bowling, enjoy some good food, some drinks. And, I mean, my gosh, 33 tickets away from seeing probably the most shocking event that has ever taken place in the city of Nashville.
Oh, God.
I mean, this is probably ESPN worthy, folks, okay? We're talking, this is probably going to go viral, make national news. So you definitely want to be a part of that. You want to be the one that said, I made that happen. So get online, buy a ticket. You'll not only be doing us a favor so we can embarrass the heck out of our dear friend, but you will be also helping some very needy people to continue to have hope and persevere. And we appreciate you.
Stephen, I love you. I love you as a friend. You're an incredible human being, and thank you for all the work you do. I don't love you as much right now in this very moment, but I am absolutely down for the cause, my brother, and we appreciate you popping in to literally double down. So now, for no other reason than I have to prove my friend Stephen Young wrong about the allegations that he's just made, I have to don a Speedo and dive into the deep end of somebody who can't swim. Good God.
Well, but you can't stuff with socks, buddy. That don't work.
No, I think we would all find out. Although I might think that might be even funnier. We'll figure something out for SportsCenter, not Top 10. Stephen Young, ladies and gentlemen, Home Street Home, TN.org is where you can go to help them immediately. And of course, 1045thezone.com for tickets to our charity bowling event to help support Home Street Home. Stephen, I will talk to you soon, my friend. Thank you for the call.
Love you, brother. Bye.
Like I said, we need your guys' help. And I don't know that the payout. So how do you feel about me diving into the deep end unassisted in a Speedo, Lucas? Does that satisfy your bloodthirst at this point?
I'm good on not seeing that, but
that's a lot.
And I actually think that you would. I think you would revel in that.
Oh, you think no?
Yes.
Well,
I think you're.
I mean, I'm definitely in the best possible Speedo shape that I've ever been.
No, but I think your shameless need for clout knows no bounds. So I think that this would.
But this is clout chasing for good.
Right.
This is clout chasing for a purpose.
Absolutely. It's a great cause.
Okay. So are we in agreement? Are we in agreement on this? Stop telling me we got to go until I have commitment on this.
Yes, if Robert and I get to throw you into the deep end of a pool or a lake and us be the lifeguards. Yes.
33 tickets by the end of the day. 1045thezone.com. Robert will drop the link in the F&M Bank chat. I'll tweet out the link myself. like I said, they need your help at Home Street Home. We need your help to get them the help that we need. Or that they need, I'm sorry. 1045thezone.com is where you go to help support this incredible cause and participate in what will be a really fun night. Kevin Byard talks about his request from the Titans to take a pay cut on Bussin' with the Boys in the most honest way that you've heard him talk about it. You'll hear that coming up next. All right, so I think we have a resolution. It sounds like swim lessons in a Speedo is what the objective is going to be. For my shame to live on the internet forever and ever, amen. 1045thezone.com is how you help us achieve that goal. I mean, it's not quite the hot chip challenge. Like, I want this thing to do well enough that I would even think about doing the hot chip challenge again. Although I think doing it twice kind of loses its luster because everybody knows what my reaction is going to be because it's awful. So we can think of other things, but I'm trying to find a way to motivate people by the end of the day to help us get to that 33 ticket number to make sure that we can get this thing successfully off the ground. 1045thezone.com is how you help support the charity bowling event, how you help support Home Street Home by purchasing tickets to our charity bowling event coming up on 7/13, July the 13th. It's a Thursday night at Kings Bowl in Cool Springs. So, you listened, Lucas, to the Bussin' with the Boys podcast that they did with Kevin Byard. I did not have the opportunity to listen to it yesterday, although I am told I've seen clips on the internet circulating on social media, and I've seen a couple of different things written about it. Your biggest takeaway from listening to him in a very open and comfortable setting as opposed to press conferences with us during mandatory minicamp and things of that nature. What was your biggest takeaway from Kevin Byard on Bussin' with the Boys?
That he was very measured in his reaction to all of this, to the Titans asking for a pay cut via his agent, which Kevin told the guys on Bussin' that he found out while he was on vacation. He found out that it had gotten out while he was on vacation, that the public had found out about it when he was, I believe he said, in Cabo. But I think just his sort of business savvy, measured reaction to that and not having the emotional response that probably a lot of guys would have, right? Taking to social media or something like that, or hopping on a podcast to talk about the disrespect of a player the caliber of Kevin Byard's playing at the level that he's played at and going into a season potentially, I mean, he mentioned this with the guys, potentially thinking about an extension and the opposite happening of a pay cut request coming from the organization. So, I mean, everything we know about Kevin Byard, that he's a consummate pro, it kind of shone throughout this interview where he was pretty forthcoming.
So let's hear from Kevin Byard on the pay cut request specifically and how that went down from his perspective. Again, this courtesy of Bussin' with the Boys.
7-3, beat Green Bay Thursday night, then we lost 7 straight. It was miserable. It was never really been in that situation before. But, I did the clean out day and the media and everything. And I'm like, bro, I don't want to play for another organization. This is my legacy. I love it here in Nashville. And so, I have conversations with my agent at the end of the season, because I kind of know, I'm a very business savvy person. I'm kind of smart. I understand that. And I feel like we can pivot after this, but kind of talking about John, and John was trying to sell out as much as he could to build a championship team. And so for myself, I restructured my contract twice. The first time I think was to sign Clowney. And the second time was, I think after I went all pro or something like that, restructured again. It might have been to sign Robert. It was something like that. Yeah. Because you're trying to bring on talent, so you're trying to, create cap space. But what that does is what most people don't realize. What it does is it increases your cap hit later in the life of your contract. So, you see people report, this guy's making this much money. That's not really how much money you're making, just accounting-wise. Your cap is here, but you may be making somewhere around here. Mm-hmm. And so that's a situation where, like you said, you get a new GM that comes in. He just looks at this sheet and just man, I have for example, obviously you got released. Mm-hmm. Ben Jones got released. Bud got released. He's looking okay. The roster's a little bit weird. We're a little bit older now. Mm-hmm. So I got to clear cap space. I got to clear cap space from anywhere. And so, like I said, that was my idea of going into the conversation. So my agent called me, was like, hey, it kind of went another way. So obviously I wasn't in the room, so I don't really know exactly how was it a situation where it's hey, we want to do extension. They just went the complete opposite way. Mm-hmm. And I don't know, maybe somewhere, what I'm saying? How
they could have said the first thing. You have no idea, the domino effect would happen.
Contract extension you're doing is Taylor. For example, let's use Taylor Wan for example. I want to make $30 million.
Yeah. And
the team is well, we want you to make 15.
Yeah.
And then you meet, and you know what I'm saying? It's you kind of everybody compromises.
Classic bartering situation.
Exactly. So I don't really know how that conversation went because I wasn't in the room. Mm. So, but when I got the news, I was like, wow, honestly, I was I didn't know how I was gonna go because I'm I've never seen, at least from my preference, or at least from my view, a player, get asked for a pay cut and then, usually more than likely get released or something like that.
Right.
Or, you know what I'm saying? You take the pay cut or it's like you're gone. So I didn't really understand how it was going to happen. So I was kind of preparing my mind for every different scenario. And I just felt that for me personally, like, it's no point to try to jump on a podcast or jumping on this because you may be still a little emotional right now.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, you got to let that thing kind of, discuss with your family, kind of really process everything from every angle before you, go talking about it and stuff like that. So
that's Kevin Byard speaking with Taylor Lewan and Will Compton. Bussin' with the Boys, the podcast. The latest episode is with Kevin Byard, and he talks about a variety of different things. It's the most, comfortable and transparent version of that we've heard from KB, and understandably so. He's around his friends and his teammates as opposed to, fielding questions at a podium with us vultures picking at him and going about it the way that a more conventional media session would go. Understandably so. Do we consider this resolved? It sounds like from all angles it is, and he's right. What he said there at the end, players don't get asked to take pay cuts and just get left alone if they say no. He said it himself. More often than not, those guys get released. He hasn't been released.
For the time being, it feels resolved.
I feel as confident that Kevin Byard is going to play for this football team in 2023 as I have.
Yeah. Now, it doesn't mean that this situation won't come back around in some way.
Sure.
But I'm with you that for the short term, for the 2023 season, it seems like they've moved from it. I mean, they said no, obviously, and he's focused on the season.
Well, let's hear from Kevin Byard on how he's feeling now about the circumstance and, his relationship with the Tennessee Titans as an organization.
Yeah, it is what it is, bro. It's like you kind of just take it for what it is. And, obviously, they asked to take a pay cut and I said no. You know what I'm saying? It was just, and that was not just an emotional, because I think people kind of, people on social media be quick like, yeah, KB, tell them no. You know what I'm saying? Like, nah, I had nothing to do. It's all business stuff. You know what I'm saying? So I didn't like how it obviously leaked out there in the media that I asked to be released.
Yeah.
Because it was BS. I was like, what? Because, you know what I'm saying? It's kind of painting a bad narrative, just saying that, I'm just disgruntled. I don't want to be here no more.
Right, it makes you seem emotional.
He's making moves.
Yeah.
He's my guys. I don't want to be here no more. Because that's not, it's further from the truth. So that one thing I didn't like. But other than that, man, it's just business, man.
And, of course, he's referencing the report or the erroneous report called Erroneous by Ran Carthon, in particular, that Kevin Byard had asked for his release. So that's from Kevin Byard's own mouth on the Bussin' with the Boys podcast. Have you looked at his contract on Over the Cap? Just out of curiosity? Because it's pretty convoluted at this point. He's been asked to restructure several times.
By John Robinson, yeah.
Yeah, by John Robinson. So he signed the deal. He signed the extension Extension signed in 2019 is when he signed the extension. 26 years old. It was a substantial contract, obviously. The total value of it, $72.7 million, $21.8 in guaranteed salary as a total part of the contract. He's got void years through 2026.
He added 2 in March of 2022. They converted almost $11 million of his 2022 salary into a bonus, adding 2 void years, and that freed up over $8 million of cap space for the Titans.
Which would have been the Robert Woods deal that he's suggesting. So that move was made so that the team had enough cap space to trade for Robert Woods, while at the time A.J. Brown was still on the roster. So Byard's contract, his last year with, so he's got prorated bonuses that go through 2026. He's got a cap number, a dead cap number through 2025. He doesn't have, they can't get out from under it cleanly with the way that it's structured until 2026 with the addition of those void years. He'll be 33 years old. He's heading into this season. He'll be 30, $19.6 million cap hit. It's 8.5% of the salary cap.
It's the biggest cap hit in the NFL for a safety.
It's huge by a considerable amount, yeah?
Not quite. Justin Simmons and Jamal Adams are both over $18 million.
Jamal Adams is over $18 million?
Over $18 million cap hit
That's
this year.
gross.
Yeah, so Simmons with the Broncos, Byard, like you said, 19.6. Simmons is 18.1. Adams is 18.1. Quandre Diggs is 18.1.
Really?
2 Seahawks safeties. With a cap hit of over $18 million for 2023.
I know things worked out for the Seahawks and Pete Carroll and John Schneider, but that Jamal Adams deal with the Jets is one of the worst trades I've ever seen.
Eddie Jackson with Chicago is over 17 mil. Buda Baker is over 16. So there are a lot in that range, but KB is at the top of the list.
615-737-1045 is how you join the discussion. So I think that at this point, we can effectively, and maybe you felt that way after his press conference with us at mandatory minicamp, where he said, don't want to speak on the various emotions, feel like we're in a good spot right now, understand that it's business, on and on it goes, a more transparent, honest, and not honest, but a more transparent and comfortable answer there with Lawan and Compton on Bussin' with the Boys. I think for that locker room, there might not be a more important player to have in that locker room this year than KB. Simmons, I know. Henry, I know. But like Kevin Byard, they all have their different leadership styles, and you definitely see that being taken on by Jeffrey Simmons in particular. You've seen him really embrace that role. You see how much the coaching staff appreciates it. But I think that's, there's not a more core foundational leadership piece on that roster, anywhere on that roster, than Kevin Byard. What is this call? What do you want me to do with this?
I guess take it.
Okay. Why?
Because that's what we do.
Based on what it says, we don't.
Yeah, you don't really like talking about yourself. That's a good point. That's a good point. It usually makes you pretty uncomfortable, so we can keep talking about KB.
Kyle and George is next.
Hey, Buck. All right, so I got an amazing idea for you for a nice embarrassing moment. I love the show, Nathan, for you, and there's an episode where people, in order to lose weight, they would have to take embarrassing photos of themselves, and they couldn't lose the weight. Those photos would be released.
Ugh.
Well, here's the situation for you. You have to, I don't know how many laps you have to do in a pool, but there's a certain amount of laps that you have to do in a pool, and it has to be recorded. If you don't do those laps, that photo will be released. Well, key to this photo is, this is for Bert. So Bert's Baby Club needs some merchandise. And I think a nice little baby with Bert's Baby Speedo, obviously BBC for short. And you have to wear that and take a nice embarrassing photo of you wearing a bibby with a Speedo and maybe a little bonnet, a little something on the top,
Oh, my God.
Doesn't Speedo start with S?
Yeah. And if you can't finish the challenge, that photo will be released to thousands of your followers, and I will definitely be retweeting that every day for you.
Every day. Thank you for your support, Kyle.
Do love the show, Nathan, for you. Great show.
I've not seen it.
Very good.
Does that feel like it's necessarily up the ante enough for us to sell 33 tickets by the end of the day for the charity bowling event to benefit Home Street Home?
1045thezone.com.
The bonnet, the bib, the Speedo, maybe a rattle. These things are easy to acquire. The amount of texts and messages we've got about how bad I sound today, I'm sorry. I don't know what to do. Our friend Nika texted me and said, "Honey, your voice sounds effed up bad, critical condition," about 2 minutes ago. So thank you for your support. We'll end the misery. We'll wrap the show up. Updates and polls. Last call for phone calls, 615-737-1045. I'm Buck Rising. It's 1045 The Zone. Am I on now, Lucas? For the third time. Third time's the charm. Welcome back to the show. 615-737-1045 is how you get your last call for phone calls in. Of course, if we don't get to you, Blaine and Mickey, 3HL, on after that. 3HL has now rallied to the cause of the charity bowling event. We're very grateful to our friends. Well, we're grateful to all of the people who have helped out put this thing on. But again, 33 tickets is our goal by the end of the day. I really can't. Like this, of all the things that we've gotten to do or put ourselves in position to do for the purposes of, audience, entertainment, and engagement, and trying to raise funds, this is the thing that scares me the most. Having to wear a Speedo and that being out on the internet forever, I hate that.
Oh, do you?
No, I really do.
Do you?
I really, really do.
I don't believe you. You understand why I don't believe you, right?
Sure.
Okay.
But do you understand why it might be believable? That's a tough thing to have to deal with on a regular basis. I feel like I'm a pretty good sport about everything that is out there on the internet. But the Speedo thing, there's a lot of places where it can expose a lot of vulnerability. So I know why you doubt my fear of this.
I don't even believe you a little bit.
Do you really not?
No, not at all. Not even a little bit.
That's funny. That's actually funny. It's terrible.
I think you would love that.
I really would not.
Just having those words that you just said of you being out on the internet forever, like that is everything you've ever worked for.
You missed. No. I have done things that I'm not proud of that I know will further, my career that are shameful.
Like what? What's the most shameful?
Oh, in terms of like publicly clout chasing?
Yeah.
I don't. You probably have a better submission.
I don't know what it would be.
See, I don't think I'm that bad about stuff. Like I definitely lean into things on the internet, and like sometimes it's enjoyable, but this is not something that's enjoyable. I feel like if you put it on a poll, I think the vast majority of people, if you asked them, would have no interest in having a photograph of them in a Speedo out there on the internet in perpetuity for anybody to use against you at any given point. I feel like that's a reasonable fear. I don't know how to convince you that this is something that I actually fear. In fact, we need people to believe that I am terrified of this because I am, so that they will get the enjoyment of making me have to do it if they buy 33 tickets.
Who would provide the swim lessons?
Well, it sounds like you two.
We could do that. I think anybody that just knows how to swim generally could probably help you.
33 tickets for the Speedo pick, 50 tickets, and the picture has to be your Twitter profile pick for a month. Like I said, if we sell this thing out, I am willing to do just about anything. That's the thing. I'm always willing to do this stuff. Because we tried to orchestrate something where where I was going to go skydiving as a part of this. It ultimately didn't work out because there were too many waivers and too many lawyers, and people were scared.
That just sounds fun.
No, it sounds awful.
Oh, I don't know.
Lucas,
I would love to go skydiving.
Did you think that I enjoyed the hot chip challenge? Truly?
No, God, no.
So,
but you were more than willing to do it.
Yes, that's the difference. I don't enjoy these things. Truly, I do not. But I'm willing to do it because they're for a good cause, especially this one. Because I really, there are so few people who are doing the kind of good work that Home Street Home or the Church of Mount Carmel, who the charity bowling event supported last year, and their free youth summer camps that they put on that's entirely volunteer-based and donation-funded. Like, so few people doing that kind of meaningful work out in the community. Truly, for as many flaws as you guys tell me I have, and you're largely right, that is something that I want to do everything that I can to support, even if it comes at great personal cost to me. So we will do this. If we can achieve the goal of 33 tickets today, if we get to 50 tickets by the end of the day.
I've just gotten a call that a group of people is about to buy 33 tickets for us to give away.
Shut the bleep up.
Yes. He would not give me, but I asked for his name as he was hanging up.
No.
Yes. I just got that phone call, so we will find out.
To give away?
Yes. 33 tickets that will be purchased to give away. So
no.
We'll see if that comes to
fruition.
fruition.
My God, now I have to do it.
We'll see.
Oh, my God. That just got so real. I don't know what to do other than to say polls.
Not now, Jenny. I'm on the radio.
I agree. Not now, Jenny.
Buck Rising gave me a job. Said something about a poll update. Hope that wasn't at that club where you became a folk singer. Anyway, Buck Rising's producer and correspondent has the final poll update. I'm not a smart man, but I know who Lucas Panzica is.
Presented by Two Rivers Ford, who sells below MSRP on any non-specialty new Ford. What's the dumbest thing in sports this week? I love this answer from Andrew. The NFL account doing these posts with quarterbacks throwing with their opposite hand. Have you seen these?
No.
It's been some sort of trend for some reason where the NFL's official account will be like, what if Josh Allen was left-handed? And they will post a video that's like reversed, like everybody's numbers are reversed, like basically a mirrored video where it looks like Josh Allen is throwing with his left hand. Really, really, really scraping the bottom of the barrel for off-season content.
Oh, you guys think we're desperate. Look at the NFL. Even the NFL, the mighty NFL, is desperate for content and clicks.
Yes, that is a great submission by Andrew.
Good God.
Do you consider Kevin Byard's situation with the Titans to be resolved? 73% say yes.
I do. I do consider the situation to be resolved, having heard Kevin Byard speak on it several times, having heard Rand Carthon be entrenched in his position on it. The explanations for both sides make complete and total sense, and it seems like they're on the same page. So I think we can put the Kevin Byard situation to rest at this point.
What do you want the Preds draft strategy to be tonight? Thomas says, I'd love to trade up into the top 4 to get a franchise center, but it seems unlikely. I would say that is very unlikely. Alex says Barry Trotz has 20-plus picks over this draft and the next. I think he's going to take some chances on offense tonight, and I couldn't be more excited.
That's Alex Doherty?
No, Alex Sears,
okay.
Who said that on Twitter.
Okay, yeah. I'm really looking forward. I don't think I've ever watched the NHL Draft before. I'm very much looking forward to it. Emily Kaplan of ESPN is reporting live from it. I mean, it's being held in Bridgestone, yeah?
Yes, 6 p.m. tonight is when it starts. 3HL broadcasting live on site.
Ooh.
Preds have the 15th and 24 picks.
Fun. Lucky 3HL. That'll be a good time. Go hang out. Is that open? That's probably not open. I don't want to send people there.
Yeah, they're at Terry and Pete Weber's place.
And that's open to the public?
I believe so.
Okay.
Go say hey.
Well, if it's not, you can blame us.
What has been the best part of the NHL draft in Nashville? Karen says player autographs and seeing Pekka again. Pekka, by the way, I don't know if we talked about it, joining the Preds coaching staff as a European coach and scout.
He did. They did kind of allude to something to that effect, right? We kind of had an idea that Pekka was going to go into something with the Preds organization.
Yeah, Barry Trotz announcing it this week. He will officially be a member of the Preds organization once again.
Awesome. He is one of the few athletes that just puts a smile on your face when you see him.
Very wholesome.
Pecorino. Those the polls?
Those the polls.
Excellent. That's the show. So, theoretically, we have reached our 33-ticket goal?
Theoretically. We'll find out if that's official.
Okay. I hope that person didn't just gaslight us because we went to air with it. So, hopefully, we'll be able to confirm that very, very soon. And then, of course, the unfortunate result for all of us, including myself, is me in a Speedo taking swim lessons. If you want to contribute to the cause and for the great cause that Home Street Home Charity is putting on to help, or that we are putting on to help support Home Street Home and the work that they do to support the unhoused and homeless community here in Middle Tennessee, 1045thezone.com for your tickets. Have a great rest of your afternoon, and I'll talk to you tonight on Primetime.